The perfect illusion. Emily Bennett had the life that many envied. A beautiful two-story home in a quiet Seattle suburb, a caring husband named Jake, and a steady job as a marketing executive at a rising tech company. But what looked perfect from the outside was falling apart on the inside. Jake had changed over the last few years. What was once a marriage full of passion had slowly become a partnership of routine. He came home late from work, barely looked up from his phone, and forgot their anniversary 2 years in a row. Emily had tried to talk, tried to reconnect, but every attempt felt like shouting into an empty room. Then came Nathan Cole. He was her boss, confident, charming, decisive. Everything Jake no longer seemed to be. Nathan didn't just see her work, he saw her. He complimented her creativity in meetings, asked about her favorite books, and remembered the small things she mentioned offhand. It started with coffee breaks, then working late nights together, and eventually, something deeper began to grow between them. Emily knew she was crossing a line, but she hadn't realized how far she'd fallen until the night they kissed. Chapter 2: The Kiss That Changed Everything. It was raining that Thursday night. The office was nearly empty, and Nathan had stayed behind to review a major pitch. Emily offered to help. They sat close, reviewing slides, laughing over bad stock photos, until the laughter faded and the silence grew heavy. "You ever feel like your life is happening without you?" she asked suddenly, eyes focused on her laptop screen. "All the time," Nathan replied. "But sometimes you meet someone who reminds you what living actually feels like." When she turned to look at him, he leaned in. She didn't stop him. The kiss was slow and hesitant, but it lit something in her she hadn't felt in years. Guilt came crashing in almost immediately, but she didn't pull away. Chapter 3: Dual Lives. For weeks, Emily lived a double life. At home, she was the dutiful wife, cooking dinner, folding laundry, asking Jake how his day was. At work, she was slowly slipping further into Nathan's world. The stolen glances, secret texts, and eventually, nights spent in his apartment. She tried to justify it. "Jake doesn't love me anymore. I deserve to be happy too." But deep down, she knew what she was doing was wrong. What made it worse was that Jake didn't even seem to notice. His distance gave her permission, his silence became her excuse. Until one night, everything changed. The confrontation. Jake came home early from a business trip. Emily hadn't expected him until the next day. She was still wearing the perfume Nathan loved. Her hair was curled, lips a little too red for an evening at home. Jake noticed. "You going somewhere?" he asked, setting down his suitcase. "No, just felt like dressing up." He looked at her for the first time in months, really looked. And in that moment, something clicked. "Emily," he said quietly, "are you seeing someone?" Her heart stopped. She opened her mouth, closed it again. The silence was louder than any confession. Jake didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just nodded slowly, like he'd known all along but didn't want to believe it. Chapter 5: Aftermath. The next few days were a blur. Jake moved into the guest room. Emily stopped going to work. Nathan called, texted, even showed up at her door once, but she couldn't face him. She stood at a crossroads. She had broken something that couldn't be undone, and for the first time, she wasn't sure if what she had with Nathan was worth it. Jake eventually asked for a separation. There was no dramatic fight, just quiet pain and mutual disappointment. "You stopped choosing me," he said simply. "And I stopped fighting for you." Chapter 6: A New Beginning? Months passed. Emily moved into a small apartment downtown. She kept her job but requested a transfer to another department. Nathan was furious at first, then understanding. "I don't want to be the reason you lose everything," he told her. But despite everything, she couldn't deny how she felt about him. What they had wasn't just an escape, it was real. They started over. Slowly. Carefully. No more hiding. No more guilt. Just two flawed people trying to build something honest from the ashes of a mistake. Chapter 7: Closure. A year later, Emily met Jake at a coffee shop. They hadn't spoken in months. He looked good, healthier, lighter. He had started dating someone new. Emily smiled and told him she was happy for him. They talked like old friends, shared stories, even laughed. When she got up to leave, Jake stood too. "I hope he's worth it," he said. Emily paused, then nodded. "He is. And I hope she is too." As she walked out into the cold Seattle air, Emily felt something she hadn't in a long time: peace. Real love or rebound? Emily often asked herself whether her feelings for Nathan were real, or just the result of being emotionally starved in her marriage. But every time she saw him, when he brought her coffee without asking, when he kissed her forehead after a stressful day, she felt something steady, something safe. Nathan wasn't perfect. He was intense, stubborn, sometimes distant when overwhelmed with work. But he listened. He tried. He cared. Still, guilt would creep in during quiet moments, late at night when she stared at the ceiling, wondering how she became the kind of person who could betray a marriage. One night she asked Nathan directly, "Do you think we started wrong?" He hesitated before answering. "Yeah," he said softly. "But maybe that's why we're working so hard now. To make it right." It didn't erase the past, but it gave her a reason to keep moving forward. Chapter 9: The Divorce Papers. Jake officially filed for divorce 6 months after the separation. Emily cried when she got the envelope, not because she wanted him back, but because it made everything so final. She sat on her apartment floor, legal papers spread out like a puzzle of a broken past. Jake had been fair, generous even, no spite, no revenge. There was a short handwritten note included. "I hope you find the happiness we couldn't find together. You deserve it, even if it wasn't with me. Jake." She held the letter to her chest, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. Closure had never felt so bittersweet. Chapter 10: Building a New Life. Emily started going to therapy. She didn't want to repeat her mistakes. She wanted to learn why she had fallen so easily into someone else's arms, and why she had ignored the signs for so long. She worked hard at her job, earned a promotion, separate from Nathan's department, and even joined a book club. Nathan was patient, understanding her need for space to grow. They didn't move in together right away. They dated, like really dated. Movies, dinners, weekend trips to wine country. For once, there was no pretending. Just honesty, even when it hurt. Chapter 11: An Unexpected Reunion. A year later, Emily ran into Jake at a mutual friend's wedding. He was holding hands with a woman named Rachel, blonde, elegant, kind. Emily introduced Nathan with a calm smile, and for a brief moment, their eyes met, hers and Jake's. There was no anger. Just history. Later that evening, Jake approached her while Nathan was getting drinks. "I never hated you," he said quietly. "I hated that we stopped trying. I hated that we let each other slip away." Emily nodded. "Me too." They clinked champagne glasses like old teammates who had finally found new teams. The proposal. 2 years after that first kiss in the office, Nathan proposed. It wasn't grand, no flash mob or skywriting. Just a quiet dinner at home, soft jazz playing, candles flickering, and Nathan fumbling nervously with a small velvet box. "I don't care how we started," he said. "I care how we end. And I want to end with you, fighting for us, every single day." Emily said yes with tears in her eyes. It didn't erase her past, but it gave her hope for a future. Chapter 13: A Letter to the Past. The night before her wedding, Emily wrote a letter she never planned to send. "Dear Jake, I thought I would carry guilt with me forever, but I've learned to carry growth instead. What we had mattered. What we lost shaped me. I'm sorry for how it ended, but I'm thankful for the years we shared. I hope you're happy. I really do. Emily." She folded the letter, slipped it into a drawer, and closed it. Some things didn't need to be sent to be heard. Chapter 14: The Wedding Day. It was a simple ceremony, An outdoor garden in Northern California. White roses lining the aisle, a string quartet playing Coldplay's Fix You. Emily wore a lace dress with a low back. Nathan wore a dark gray suit and a nervous smile. As she walked down the aisle, she thought about everything it had taken to get here, the lies, the heartbreak, the healing. And yet, she'd never been more sure of anything. They said their vows with trembling voices and held hands like lifelines. When Nathan kissed her, it wasn't just a beginning, it was a promise. Chapter 15, Happily After. Emily never pretended her story was perfect. She didn't tell people fairy tales about how she just met the love of her life and everything fell into place. Instead, she told the truth when asked. I lost something before I found something better. And I had to lose myself before I figured out who I really was. Years later, she and Nathan sat on the back porch of their home, holding coffee cups and watching their golden retriever chase butterflies in the yard. I still think about it sometimes, she said softly. Nathan looked at her. The past? No, she smiled. How lucky I am now.